4:30 in the morning, Sunday morning, December the 1st. One of our officers on patrol around the Mountain Brook High School, Mountain Brook Athletic Sports Complex, found at that time unidentified female that was deceased. At the time, when he got other officers and detectives there, it appeared that the decedent had passed away from a gunshot, at least one gunshot, and we weren't sure. Well, there was no identification on the female at that time, and from that time at 04:30 Sunday morning until approximately 12:30, 1 o'clock Monday morning, we did not have any idea who our victim was. Sometime around that time, 1 o'clock, or at least after midnight on the 2nd, so from Sunday night into Monday morning, sorry if I'm confusing, the family of Megan Montgomery went to one of the Birmingham Police Department precincts reporting her missing. We had given out information to other local law enforcement about our unidentified deceased female, and Birmingham officers thought it was probably the same and contacted Mountain Brook officials pretty quickly. We had to wait until we could get confirmation of identification of our victim when the coroner's office was able to get some pictures and show the family and do a confirmation for who she was. So we did not know who exactly our victim was until sometime around 9 o'clock, for sure, until sometime around 9 o'clock Monday morning. That having been said, we had a pretty good idea who our victim was, and in talking with family, and were immediately able to start getting other information and started focusing on a particular suspect. Today, warrants were issued for that subject through the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office, and if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and read the press release that I sent out a little while ago. Investigators with the Mountain Brook Police Department presented our investigative material regarding the homicide of Megan Louise Montgomery to the Birmingham Division of the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office this morning. The District Attorney's Office has issued a warrant for capital murder for Jason Bragg McIntosh, age 45. McIntosh is currently in our jail and will be transferred to the Jefferson County Jail and held on no bond once our booking procedures are completed. This investigation remains active and ongoing. The Mountain Brook Police Department would like to express our appreciation to all law enforcement agencies that have assisted and that continue to assist in this investigation. We would also like to thank the many witnesses who have come forward and provided invaluable information. During the course of the investigation, when we found out who our suspect was and started focusing on him, it became apparent that he was known to us. This is an individual that had been in law enforcement for a number of years. To include, he worked at Mountain Brook Police Department. He worked at Mountain Brook Police Department from November 24th of 1997 to September 8th of 1999. He resigned from us and went to the Hoover Police Department, where he worked until, or I think earlier this year, when he may have resigned from there. I don't have the exact details of that. Some questions have come from some media regarding the fact that the Mountain Brook Police Department was investigating someone that had previously worked for the Mountain Brook Police Department. We shared those concerns with the District Attorney's Office, and the District Attorney's Office said that it was fine for us to investigate the case. They did not have a problem with it. That employment with the Mountain Brook Police Department was over 20 years ago. There's only a handful of over 75 employees working for the Mountain Brook Police Department that were employed at this department when he was here. So we don't feel like we had any conflict of interest. The DA's office agreed. think that's most of what I had for prepared statement, although, well, I'm sorry, let me back up. And we'll talk about the photo that I have here. So this photo shows the Mountain Brook High School area. I've included all the way down to Interstate 459, so that you see the on and off ramp for Liberty Park, and then you see all the way out to Bethune Drive, which is the main entrance to the high school over here. So some confusion occurred for some media as the address that we provided was whatever 100 block of Bethune Drive that we shared with you. So naturally, a lot of folks went to that address on the front of the high school entrance, thinking that it was close to that area. In reality, and I'm going to walk over here and zoom in for you. The location that Miss Montgomery was found is over here closer to the athletic complex. And again, I'll show you for reference. Exit ramp, what's called Overton Access Road, that comes up. This area where the pointer is, you see, begins part of the overall Mountain Brook City Schools property. Technically, this is all Mountain Brook City School property, but this area, starting along this road, and all of these fields, all the way down to include all of these fields, is also a multi-use facility. Mountain Brook Athletics, the Mountain Brook Gymnastics Center, Mountain Brook City Park and Recreation is in this location. So it's a multi-use area. Technically it's school grounds, but it's a multi-use area. We've identified it from time to time as the Mountain Brook Athletic Complex, Mountain Brook Athletics. So I wanted to clear that up for people. Also, at some point in time, social media discussions had inferred that Miss Montgomery was found in a dumpster, by a dumpster, around a dumpster, etc. She was not. Miss Montgomery was found in this parking lot in this general area right in here. She was the only person in that parking lot. There were no vehicles in that parking lot. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our officer that was patrolling that night and found Miss Montgomery, because he was doing typical work where he was checking areas like the Gymnastics Center, Mountain Brook High School, just riding around. At nighttime, this parking lot is extremely dark. There's not regular lighting set up out there, so it's a very dark area. When the officer patrolled through, it was extremely observant of him that he drove by going down to where you saw the Gymnastics Center and looked in and saw a body on the ground. He was very concerned that it could have been some youth that might have been intoxicated or some other problem with them, so he went immediately to start checking. So it was very observant of our officer that he, in those conditions, actually was able to see him and respond to him. Do y'all have any questions for this?
I do.
Okay.
So her body was found actually just on the blacktop of the parking lot?
Literally, yes. No other vehicle in the lot, no other person in the lot.
And nowhere near a dumpster.
And nowhere near, a dumpster's not even in that lot. So nowhere near a dumpster. Dumpster came from social media.
Right.
So trying to clear that portion up.
And perhaps this is jumping the gun, but do you believe that she was shot in the parking lot?
Okay. She was found face down in pretty close to the area that the cursor is in there. There was blood in the area. There was other physical evidence there at the scene that do lead us to believe that she was shot there in this parking lot. So we think that should dispel, again, some of the social media discussion that indicate that they thought that he might have brought her there and dumped her body. We think that they came here and she was shot and killed here.
Do you know why there? With no obvious ties for either either of them to then not look.
No, other than, again, it's, you know, it's a pretty easy access from the interstate. It is a very dark, area. If you're, gonna have any type of rendezvous, then it's a pretty good place that typically wouldn't get much traffic and exposure.
Chief, is that part where they found her, is there a security guard out there watching that? I mean.
Not 24/7.
Okay.
So there is a security guard, and I'm gonna go scroll again, sorry. High school employees, security guards during school hours. They're on the front side of the school, close to where a lot of the pictures were up from Bethune, and then there's another one on the back side as you come up, really from the left-hand turn as you came off that access road into the ground proper.
But at night, you can get in and out of there pretty.
That's left open a lot. That's a very common cut-through access for that portion of Mountain Brook to the interstate by a number of people. Also, a tremendous number of the community uses different portions of the athletic complexes all hours of the day. I mean, there's people that might be there. There's workout groups that get there very early in the morning. There's, you know, Sunday there were several events planned for the gymnastics center. So yeah, that stays open most of the time. In fact, probably really only controlled access during school hours. And even then, it's not completely shut down. It's just controlled and kind of monitored.
I know somebody had posted on your Facebook page that they heard 2 gunshots around midnight. Have you been able to determine what time they got there and what led you to McIntosh to begin with?
We've talked to, we sent messages to 2 different people who commented on our page about that, asking them to call our detectives and report what they had heard or seen. We also had actual other witnesses and witness statements in another portion of these grounds, not at this parking lot, where they heard sounds at a particular time and indicated a direction to our detectives that confirmed direction of where Miss Montgomery was found.
Chief Cook, can you confirm that they were seen leaving the Courtyard 280 bar at some point, or was that the last place that Megan was possibly seen?
I can confirm that we have video from Courtyard 280 that shows Mr. McIntosh come into the facility, go up to a table with multiple people at it, including Miss Montgomery, lean down, have some type of exchange with her, some type of exchange with some of the other people at the table. Miss Montgomery can be seen interacting with him and then leaving what appears to be voluntarily with him. She's not held, she's not forced, and in fact we have video, I think, all the way out, close to, if not into his vehicle when they left.
Have you been able to piece together some kind of timeline of what might have happened between that moment and this?
We have a timeline and a time frame that within a few minutes of leaving the Courtyard 280 area, we have some additional video showing what we believe to be Mr. McIntosh's vehicle driving in this area, in this vicinity.
So most likely they left the bar and went to that location.
I think that the timeline, and I don't want to say precise minutes, but we think that timeline is pretty indicative that they left there and went, if not straight, then almost straight from Courtyard 280 to this location.
What time did they leave Courtyard?
I'm sorry, I don't have that. I'll try to get it.
After midnight, before midnight, do you remember?
I think it was after midnight, but honestly, I don't remember. I don't have that specific in mind. I'm sorry.
So her purse, her phone, all of that. Can you say if you recovered that, where you recovered it?
I think the keys and a credit card were left there at Courtyard 280. don't know that we did find her vehicle still there parked in the parking lot around Courtyard 280. I know that we executed a search warrant on that vehicle. I don't know what all was found in it specifically.
What was the motive?
At this time, I don't know that we have a specific motive.
Has he been cooperative with y'all, or?
He has not given us a statement.
Is he showing any sort of remorse at all?
I haven't seen him other than on the video camera in his jail cell.
So, you know, it's been years, if not decades, since Mountain Brook has had a homicide. You know, what have been the challenges to y'all in this, and
Well,
that it was brought to your city?
we hate that it was brought. We hate, of course, that it occurred. It's tragic for everybody concerned, and certainly the most tragic for the loss of life of Megan Montgomery. As far as a challenge for us, you know, just the fact that it happened creates an investigative challenge. However, our investigators are top notch. They're very good at their job. The fact that it was a homicide versus, you know, any other myriad of other felonies that they investigate on a regular basis, the only thing that it really did is it amped up our sheer manpower that we focused on the case from the very beginning.
Chief, do you know his reasons for leaving in 1999 from the Mountain Brook Police Department?
You know, I haven't been able to find the hard copy file 20 plus years again of it. I think though that much like, and if I did not say it, he came to Mountain Brook from the Birmingham Police Department where he worked a short time before. It would appear that he made just some kind of progressive type movement within law enforcement. It's not uncommon in law enforcement ranks to move from one department to another, whether you're looking for more activity or you're looking for more opportunity, whether it's advancement, positions, other perks that one department gives over another department. We've had an officer that was worked here for less than 2 years earlier this year that left for another department for other opportunities.
Do you know what kind of officer he was?
I do not. I've been here almost 9 years, so as a matter of fact, I worked for the city of Birmingham when he was there those few years still, so, and I wasn't around him at Birmingham, but.
Getting back to Megan, do you know where she was shot?
I can tell you that she was shot more than one time. And I don't know what the coroner has released at this point. But the first and most obvious wound when we first found her that morning was a gunshot wound to the back, center area of the back.
So shot more than once in the back.
She was shot once visibly in the back, and then she was shot more than one time.
Can you confirm that the second wound was to the head?
Again, I don't know what the coroner's office has shown just yet. As to, I can confirm that that she was also shot in the head,
Was she, you think
and
she
there
was
might
shot?
have been more than one time in the head.
Was she shot in the parking lot, or was she shot in the car, in the parking lot, and then pushed out? Do you know?
We found evidence in the parking lot. I think that the shots to the head were in the parking lot.
And you have a struck, I assume?
We do have a stroke. We've executed a search warrant on it. We're still continuing some forensic work through that search warrant on it. And the case remains active and ongoing, even though we have the current warrants. We're still pursuing other information that we have, and continuing to search for other evidence, any other evidence that we might can find, and that throws pretty widely.
The friends that she was with at the bar, have they said if he seemed angry when he approached her, or what was his demeanor?
You know, I didn't get the specific statements from those witnesses. I know that we interviewed quite a number of them. But I'm unaware of anybody that stated that they thought that he physically made her go. And again, I've watched the video of them leaving, and it did not appear to me that he physically made her go. I can't hear what they said.
Will the death penalty be pursued?
The charges on him are capital murder. That does include the death penalty.
Chief, what was, I asked this because I know there's several different criteria, what was the one that used to make this capital murder?
The aggravating circumstance that led it over to capital murder, I believe it was an outstanding protection order. And we're still trying to find out about any pending charges that hadn't been adjudicated yet in other jurisdictions. That could also be a second factor.
Is he on any kind of like suicide watch or anything like that while he is in your custody?
You know, we heard a lot of that chatter also, and frankly, in some of our law enforcement discussions. So, you know, we've had extra watch concerned about that. We're concerned about all of our prisoners while they're in our care. Yes, we did watch a little extra in this case.
Was he transported to the county jail while we were in there?
No. That would have been brilliant, though, wouldn't it?
Can we get video of that?
We don't do perp walks ourselves. And I don't know when. There's other forensic data that we're still seeking while he's here with us before we transport it. So it could be right now, Carol, but it may well be several hours before he's transported. We're not in a rush. We're much more in our rush to present our evidence to our district attorney and get warrants as we were seeking.
You know, there's been a lot of discussion on social media about just the fact that he could be getting preferential treatment all along in the ongoing domestic troubles they had, that he would get preferential treatment in this investigation. Do you want to say anything to that?
You know, I don't want to say anything about any other investigations anywhere else. I'm not a party to that. I think the fact that we have sought and obtained capital murder warrants speak to the level of dedication to finding the facts of the case as much as we could and presenting those to the district attorney.
Megan's history shows that she was a victim of domestic violence. Do you have any advice for women who may be in similar situations?
Wow, you know, it's those of us in law enforcement see a constant stream of people in domestic violence situations that for any number of reasons just can't seem to get out of them. And I, like many of my cohorts, would always try to encourage, if you're in a domestic violent situation, relationship, does no one any good to stay in it, and if at all possible to separate. And I understand that's hard in relationships, but you know, we talk to victims all the time and try to encourage getting away as much as possible, directing how to get protection orders and that sort of thing. And unfortunately, they just aren't always enough.
You had mentioned that you were going to be showing us 2 images today.
I was going to show you his mugshot. I'm sorry, but I think I have sent that in the press release as well.
You can turn the lights off for a second.
Was he intoxicated at the time of his arrest? His eyes looked a little bloodshot.
Not to my knowledge.
Will you be
He was taken into custody though. Uh,
36,
I'm sorry?
36 hours.
You know, it was Monday around noon, and we're thinking Saturday night around just shortly after midnight-ish, as a possible time.
Do you know where he was in between? Before he, from the time he left Mountain Brook parking lot until the time he started with his attorney?
Not completely.
Chief, could we
You
see
ready for
the
that to be
other,
out?
could we see the other graphic before you turn the lights off? Sure. Oh, all right.
I didn't do a very good job of glare control, did I? You want it zoomed out?
Could you do both?
Yes, sir, if you could do both.
All right. You like that one first, or you want that?
We can take them either way.
Chief, will you guys be releasing any of the surveillance video that you've mentioned?
At this time, we don't plan to. Would you like it zoomed out a little further so you get all the way to Bethune
That,
for reference?
that's, well, we can,
I think that's fine, because you see 459.
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's, so for those of you who don't know, the complex itself, the high school itself sits in this area. Football stadium, this is a big parking lot, then it goes out to Bethune, straight out this way.
Chief, do you know, is this the first time something like this has happened in the sense that he went and tracked her down or something like that, or has there been previous occurrences of that?
You know, I don't know. If it did, if so, it was not in our jurisdiction, so we're seeking, reports that each of them might have filed, from other agencies.
Has your investigation given you any kind of indication at the level of the time they still spent together, or, you know, whether they were completely apart, still together?
I don't know all the details that the detectives might have gotten from the various witnesses that we've had to speak specifically to that. I've seen some of the chatter as well, social media chatter about it. So I don't, at this point in time, I don't have anything that would directly answer that, Carol.
Do you have any evidence indicating that he went there with the plans of ultimately killing her, or if this was one of those things where it got out of hand again and she ended up dead this time?
I don't know if they have anything specific on that in the investigative notes themselves at this time.
Is there anything else that you just wanna say to the community at this point, or people have been very invested in this case and all the details of it? Is there anything else that you would just like to communicate?
You know, obviously it's a anomaly type situation and occurrence for the city of Mount Brook. It's not indicative of the typical crimes that we have. We enjoy a very safe community in Mount Brook, and I dare say that despite this incident, that continues. Again, I'm very proud of the men and women of the Mount Brook Police Department that investigated this and brought it to fruition as quickly as we did. Our detectives and patrol officers did yeoman work and spent many hours continuous on it. And I think it's important that the residents of Mountain Brook know that we are a safe community, and frankly, the residents of the greater Birmingham community that might come through Mountain Brook know that Mountain Brook is a safe community in spite of this.
Do you know, where McIntosh was working at the time, and if he had worked at all since he was,
I do
since he
not
left
know
here?
that. I don't may up there in the investigative notes, Carol might just done that. Anything else? Thank y'all very much for coming, I appreciate it, I'm sorry that it's taken as long as it has, but we are pretty, detail oriented in our approach to things, and that was as much the situation in this case.